You have never actually seen reality. You have never seen the outside world. Not directly. Think about that for a second. You have seen sunsets. You have seen faces. You have seen oceans, mountains, cities, stars. You've heard music. You've felt someone's hand. You've tasted food. You've felt sunlight on your skin. And yet, you have never experienced any of those things exactly as they exist outside of you. That sounds impossible. Because right now, you're looking at a screen. You can see the words. You can see the shapes. You probably think you're seeing them. Photons hit your retina. Your retina converts those signals into electrical activity. That information travels through your nervous system. It reaches your brain. And somewhere inside that process, you experience a world. You don't experience electrical signals. You experience red. You don't experience wavelengths. You experience blue. You don't experience pressure waves traveling through air. You experience music. You don't experience molecular interactions. You experience the warmth of someone's hand. You don't experience electromagnetic radiation. You experience sunlight. And that is incredibly strange. Because outside your body, there are no little labels floating around saying, "This is red. This is beautiful. This is sad music. This sunset is breathtaking." There are physical processes, wavelengths, vibrations, particles, chemical interactions, energy, and somehow, your brain transforms all of that into the rich world you experience every second. Take the color red. Look around you. Find something red. A shirt, a notification, a bottle, anything. You look at it and think, that's red, obviously. But what exactly is red? There are electromagnetic wavelengths associated with what we call red light. Your eyes detect those wavelengths. Your nervous system processes them. And your brain produces an experience. Red. But the experience of redness isn't sitting inside the object. The object isn't secretly carrying a little packet of redness inside it. Your experience of red is something that happens within consciousness when your nervous system processes particular information. And suddenly something ordinary becomes mysterious. You've spent your entire life surrounded by color without ever asking where color actually exists. Now imagine someone who has never seen color. They can understand wavelengths. They can understand the physics. They can understand exactly what happens when light enters the eye. They can understand every equation describing the phenomenon. But understanding all of that isn't necessarily the same thing as experiencing red. Knowing the description of an experience isn't obviously the same as having the experience. And this is where the mystery becomes much deeper, because you can describe the brain. You can describe neurons. You can describe electrical activity. You can describe neurotransmitters. You can describe the visual cortex. But then comes the question, why does any of that feel like something? Why isn't the universe simply processing information in darkness? Why is there an experience? Why is there something it is like to be you? Think about your own experience right now. You're sitting somewhere. Maybe you're lying down. Maybe you're holding your phone. Maybe you're listening to this through headphones. There is a room around you. But notice something. You don't experience the room directly. You experience a model of the room. Your eyes only receive a limited range of electromagnetic radiation. Your ears only detect a limited range of frequencies. Your skin detects certain forms of pressure, temperature, and chemical information. Your brain combines all of this and creates what you experience as a coherent environment. The world feels continuous, stable, solid, complete. But your sensory systems are constantly sampling fragments. Your brain fills in gaps, predicts, it interprets, it organizes, constructs, and you experience the result as the world. You can see this in simple illusions. Your eyes can be given two identical colors surrounded by different shades, and they can appear completely different. A straight line can appear bent. A stationary image can appear to move. Your brain can make you feel like something happened when it didn't. You can hear your name in a noisy room when nobody actually said it. You can feel your phone vibrating in your pocket when it never vibrated. Your experience can be completely convincing and still be an interpretation. That doesn't mean your senses are useless. Quite the opposite. They are incredibly useful. They allow you to navigate reality. But usefulness and direct access are not the same thing. Your senses don't give you reality without interpretation. They give your brain information, and your brain gives you a world. Now imagine you are standing on a beach. You see an enormous orange sunset. The sky is glowing. The ocean reflects the light. You hear waves. You feel the wind. Maybe someone you love is standing beside you. You think, this is beautiful. But stop there. What exactly happened? Light entered your eyes. Sound entered your ears. Pressure changed on your skin. Your nervous system processed those signals. Your brain integrated them. And somehow, you experienced beauty. Where did the beauty come from? Was it entirely in the sunset? Or entirely in your mind? Maybe the question itself is too simple. The sunset exists independently of you in some physical sense. But the experience of the sunset exists only through the interaction between the world and the consciousness experiencing it. Without the world, there may be no sunset to experience. But without consciousness, there is no experienced sunset. There is only whatever is happening. And this distinction matters more than you might think. Because you often forget that you are experiencing a representation. You say, that person is beautiful. That place is depressing. That situation is terrible. This room feels peaceful. But those statements contain both the world and your interpretation of the world. Someone else can stand in exactly the same room, look at exactly the same person, experience exactly the same event, and walk away with a completely different reality. One person sees opportunity, another sees danger. One sees rejection, another sees honesty. One sees loneliness, another sees freedom. One sees an ordinary rainy day, another remembers the happiest day of their childhood. Same rain, different world. You've probably experienced this yourself. Think about a place from your past. Maybe your old school, your childhood home, a street you used to walk through, a room where something important happened. You can return years later, and something feels strange. The physical location may still be there. The walls may be there. The road may be there. The buildings may be there. But the world feels different. Why? Because the physical environment isn't the entire experience. You changed. And when you changed, the world you experienced changed with you. That's something worth noticing. You don't simply walk around inside a fixed reality. You participate in the reality you experience. Your memories influence what you notice. Your expectations influence what you notice. Your emotions influence what you notice. Your fears influence what you notice. Your desires influence what you notice. Your attention determines what becomes psychologically vivid. And all of that happens before you even form a conscious opinion. Think about walking through a crowded street. There might be hundreds of conversations happening around you. Hundreds of faces.
Baiklah.
Signs. Buildings. Smells. Sounds. Movement. But you aren't consciously experiencing every detail. Your brain filters. You notice what seems relevant. If you're looking for a red car, suddenly red cars appear everywhere. If you're worried that people are judging you, you become extremely sensitive to someone's facial expression. If you're in love, you notice everything connected to that person. If you're grieving, ordinary places can suddenly become full of memories. The world hasn't necessarily changed. Your relationship with the world has changed. And now we reach an even stranger possibility. What if your entire experience of reality is mediated in this way? You have never stepped outside consciousness to compare your experience with reality itself. You cannot, because the moment you experience anything, you're already experiencing it through consciousness. You can't step outside your own experience and say, Let me see reality without my mind. The attempt itself would still be an experience. That's the strange trap. You can question your perception. You can question your beliefs. You can question your memories. You can question your senses. But you cannot experience anything without experiencing it. Consciousness is always there, at least as far as your experience is concerned. And maybe this is why consciousness is such a difficult mystery. We know an enormous amount about the universe. We can measure distant galaxies. We can calculate the age of stars. We can map the human genome. We can observe individual neurons. We can build machines that process information. But one question remains incredibly difficult. Why is there an experience at all? Why isn't all of this just information processing? Why isn't the universe simply a gigantic sequence of physical events happening with nobody experiencing them? Why does become color? Why do vibrations become music? Why does pressure become touch? Why does chemical activity become taste? Why does electrical activity in a brain become your experience of being alive? And now bring the question closer. Forget the universe. Forget consciousness in general. Look at you. You know your name. You know your history. You know your personality. You know your memories. You know your ambitions. You know your fears. You have a picture of who you are. But where is that person? If someone asks, "Who are you?" you might give them your name, your occupation, your nationality, your relationships, your personality, your story. But those are descriptions. And we've already seen the problem with descriptions. Your name can change. Your appearance can change. Your beliefs can change. Your job can change. Your relationships can change. Your opinions can change. Even your personality can change dramatically over decades. And yet, through all of those changes, you have the strange sense that there is continuity, that somehow you are still you. Think about yourself at 5 years old. That child had different beliefs, different fears, different interests, a different body, a different voice, different memories. You wouldn't behave exactly like that child today. And yet, when you see an old photograph, you say, "That's me." How? What exactly connects that child to the person listening to this right now? Your body has changed. Your cells have changed. Your beliefs have changed. Your personality has developed. Your memories have accumulated. And yet there is a continuity of experience. You remember being that child. You remember yesterday. You remember this morning. And now you're here. There is something fascinating about that continuity. And perhaps this is where the question becomes personal. You've spent your entire life looking outward. What should I achieve? Where should I live? Who should I love? How much money should I make? What should I become? What will happen to me? What does the world think of me? But underneath all of those questions is another one that rarely gets asked. What is this that is experiencing my life? Not, what is my name? Not, what is my job? Not, what is my personality? But, what am I before all of those descriptions? You can try something right now. Don't close your eyes. Just look at whatever is in front of you. Maybe it's your phone. Maybe it's a wall. Maybe you're outside. Now notice the fact that you're seeing. Don't analyze what you're seeing. Just notice. There is seeing. There is sound. Maybe there is the feeling of your body sitting somewhere. Maybe there is a thought. Maybe you're thinking, "What the hell is this video talking about?" That's fine. Notice that thought too. The thought appeared. You didn't necessarily create it deliberately. It appeared, and you became aware of it. Now another thought may appear. Then another. You can notice sensations. You can notice sounds. You can notice emotions. You can notice the environment. Everything seems to be changing. Thoughts change. Feelings change. Sensations change. Sounds change. The body changes. The environment changes. And yet, There is something that knows these changes are happening. This doesn't mean you have to accept some particular spiritual explanation. You don't have to believe that consciousness is cosmic. You don't have to believe that the universe is a dream. You don't have to reject science. You don't have to decide that the external world is an illusion. In fact, none of that is necessary. The point is much simpler. You don't know reality in the abstract. You know reality as it appears through experience. And that distinction is enough to completely change the way you look at existence. The next time you see a sunset, don't just think, "That's a beautiful sunset." Notice the entire miracle. There is light. There are wavelengths. There are eyes. There is a nervous system. There is a brain processing information. And somehow, there is color. There is beauty. There is someone standing there, experiencing it. The universe is not merely being observed. It is being experienced. And somehow, you are the place where that experience is happening. The same thing is true when you hear music. Think about your favorite song. Physically, it's vibrations moving through air. Your eardrum moves. Tiny structures in your ear respond. Signals travel through your nervous system. Your brain processes patterns. And suddenly, you hear a melody. Maybe that melody reminds you of someone. Maybe it makes you nostalgic. Maybe it makes you want to dance. Maybe it brings tears to your eyes. The physical description of the sound doesn't contain the whole experience. There is something about what it is like to hear it. And that what it is like is your life. So perhaps the deepest mystery isn't sitting millions of light years away. Maybe it's sitting behind your eyes. You've spent your entire life trying to understand the universe. But there is something even more immediate. The fact that there is a universe appearing to you at all. You don't need to travel to another planet to encounter something mysterious. Look at your hand. Look at the sky. Listen to a sound. Feel your breath. Notice a thought. All of these ordinary things are happening within an experience that you have never fully explained. And perhaps that's the strange beauty of being alive. You don't need to solve the mystery before you can experience it. You may never discover exactly what consciousness ultimately is. Maybe science will take us much further. Maybe philosophy will change the way we understand it. Maybe one day we'll have explanations that seem impossible from where we stand today. But for now, there is one fact you cannot escape. You are experiencing something. Right now. This moment. This sound. These words. Whatever you're feeling in your body. Whatever thoughts are moving through your mind. Whatever world appears around you. Before you decide what reality is, there is the simple fact that reality is being experienced. And that is perhaps the strangest thing of all. You've spent your whole life looking at the world. Maybe tonight, turn your attention toward the one who is looking, not to find an answer, not to create another identity, not to become more spiritual. Just notice, there is a world, there are thoughts, there are sensations, there are sounds, there are colors, there are memories, there are emotions, and somehow, you are aware of them. The mystery isn't only, what is the universe? The deeper mystery might be, what is this that experiences a universe at all? And perhaps, that question is much closer to you than you ever realized.